Marcus Cole's fist slammed into the computer screen so hard the glass shattered, slicing his knuckles open. Blood dripped onto the keyboard as $10 billion vanished before his eyes. 12 years of building an empire. Gone in 17 minutes. He grabbed his phone and threw it against the wall. Then he dropped to his knees in that dark office on the 40th floor, a billionaire reduced to nothing, watching his entire life burn to ashes on flickering screens. That's when he heard footsteps. Slow, steady, the quiet squeak of wheels. A black woman in a cleaning uniform stood at his door. And what she said next would change everything. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. She wasn't there by accident. Comment below what city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story travels. Let me tell you something about Marcus Cole that most people never knew. He grew up in a trailer park outside of Detroit. His father worked 2 jobs and still couldn't keep the electricity on. His mother cleaned houses for rich families, came home smelling like bleach and other people's furniture polish, her hands cracked and bleeding from chemicals. Marcus watched his mother scrub toilets for people who never learned her name. They called her the help. They left cash on the counter like she was something less than human. He swore he'd never let anyone look down on him like that. Never. So he built himself into something. Worked 3 jobs through college. Slept 4 hours a night. Taught himself to code in a basement apartment with no heat. Started Horizon Tech with $600 and a laptop held together with tape. 12 years later, he stood at the top of Chicago. Corner office on the 40th floor. 3,000 employees. His face on magazine covers. His name whispered in boardrooms across the country. Tomorrow morning, he was supposed to sign a deal worth $10 billion. $10 billion. But tonight, at exactly 9:07 p.m., Marcus Cole was about to learn that everything he'd built was standing on sand. The first alert appeared in the corner of his screen. Just a small red box. He almost ignored it. Then another appeared, and another, and another. Marcus leaned forward. What the hell? His screen flickered. Lines of code started scrolling faster than he could read. Error messages popped up everywhere. Access denied. File corrupted. System breach detected. His heart started pounding. He clicked frantically, trying to understand what was happening. No, he whispered. No, no, no. Customer data. Financial records. Proprietary code. Everything that made Horizon Tech valuable was disappearing before his eyes. Not crashing. Vanishing. Someone was inside his system, and they were gutting his company like a fish. Marcus grabbed his phone and called his head of security. It rang 5 times. Come on, come on. Voicemail. He called his CTO, Derek Shaw, the man he'd trusted for 8 years. Derek, pick up. Pick up. Voicemail. He called the IT emergency line, the after-hours tech support, the security desk downstairs. Nobody answered. Nobody was there. He'd sent everyone home hours ago, told them to rest up for the big day tomorrow. Now he was alone on the 41st floor, watching his empire die. Marcus stood up so fast his chair flew backward. He ran to the server room down the hall, swiped his access card, yanked open the door. Red lights everywhere, alarms blaring, every monitor showing the same message. Critical failure. This can't be happening. His hands were shaking as he pulled up the diagnostic screens. Someone had gotten past every firewall, every encryption, every security protocol his team had built. This wasn't just a hack. This was assassination. His phone buzzed, A text from an unknown number. Check your stock price in the morning. Sweet dreams. Marcus stared at that message until his vision blurred. Whoever did this, they weren't just trying to steal from him. They wanted to destroy him. He walked back to his office in a daze. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Chicago sparkled below. Millions of lights, millions of people going about their lives, having dinner, watching TV, completely unaware that up here, a man was losing everything. The city didn't care. It never did. Marcus sat down at his desk. Blood from his cut knuckles was drying on the shattered screen. He should call someone. The FBI, a cybersecurity firm, his lawyers. But what was the point? By morning, the news would be everywhere. Horizon Tech breached, customer data stolen, stock price in freefall. The $10 billion deal would evaporate. Investors would run. Employees would panic. 12 years of work, gone in less than an hour. He thought about his mother, how she'd worked herself to the bone so he could have a chance. How proud she'd been when he bought her that house, when he finally proved that her sacrifice meant something. What would he tell her now? What would he tell anyone? That's when he heard the footsteps. Marcus looked up, confused. It was almost 10 p.m. The building should be empty. Security was downstairs, but they never came up this high unless called. The footsteps grew closer. Slow, deliberate, accompanied by the quiet squeak of wheels rolling across marble floors. A figure appeared in his doorway. A black woman, mid-30s, wearing a gray cleaning uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She pushed a cart loaded with supplies, mops, spray bottles, garbage bags. A name tag on her chest read, Gloria. She stopped when she saw him. Her eyes widened, taking in the shattered screen, the blood on his hands, the chaos of red alerts glowing behind him. "Oh my goodness," she said softly. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know anyone was still here. I can come back later." Her voice carried a hint of the South, warm, genuine, the kind of voice that reminded Marcus of his grandmother. He laughed. It came out harsh and broken. "Don't worry about it. You're not interrupting anything, except me watching my whole life fall apart." Most people would have apologized again and left. That's what the invisible people do. They disappear when things get uncomfortable, when rich men are having their breakdowns. But this woman didn't leave. She took a step into his office, her eyes moving past him to the screens behind his desk. Her expression changed from surprise to concern to something else. Recognition. "Sir," she said carefully, "are you all right?" Marcus shook his head. "My company just got destroyed. Everything I've built for 12 years is gone. Millions of customers' data stolen. So no, I'm not all right." The woman was quiet for a moment. She looked at the screens again, studying them with an intensity that seemed strange for someone pushing a cleaning cart. "That's a cyber attack," she said quietly. "A sophisticated one. Looks like they're using a polymorphic worm with rotating encryption keys." Marcus froze. "What did you just say?" She met his eyes. No embarrassment, no hesitation. "The patterns on your screens. That's not a random system crash. Someone's inside your network, and they're using military-grade infiltration techniques. They're stealing your data and covering their tracks at the same time." Marcus stood up slowly. His mind was racing. "How do you know that?" "Because I used to do this kind of work," she said simply. "Before life took me in a different direction." Marcus stared at her. This woman in a cleaning uniform, telling him things his entire cybersecurity team couldn't figure out. "Who are you?" "Gloria," she said. "Gloria Johnson." "No." He shook his head. "I mean, who are you really? Where did you come from?" Something flickered across her face. Pain, maybe, or shame. She looked down at her cleaning cart, at the mop and spray bottles that defined her life now. "I was a cybersecurity specialist," she said quietly. "Worked for Morrison and Associates in San Francisco. We protected banks, hospitals, Fortune 500 companies. I was good at it too. Really good." "Then what happened?" Gloria's jaw tightened. "My husband got sick. Cancer. The aggressive kind that doesn't give you time to plan or prepare. I quit my job to take care of him, moved back to Chicago to be near family." She paused, and Marcus saw her hands grip the cart handle tighter. "He fought for 2 years. I held his hand through every treatment, every surgery, every night when he couldn't sleep from the pain. And when he passed, I was left with $200,000 in medical debt and a resume with a 2-year gap." "The tech world moves fast," Marcus said quietly. He understood. God help him. He understood. "Faster than you know," Gloria agreed. Nobody wanted to hire someone who'd been out of the game. They wanted fresh, current, someone without baggage. So I took whatever work I could find. Night shift cleaning. The invisible work for invisible people. She looked at him directly, and there was no self-pity in her eyes. Just truth. "But just because I push a mop doesn't mean my mind forgot how to work. Every night I clean these offices, I see things. Security flaws, weak passwords on sticky notes, computers left unlocked. I see all the mistakes that could destroy a company." "And you never said anything?" Gloria smiled, but it was bitter. Who was going to listen to the cleaning lady? Marcus felt something shift inside him. All his life, he'd prided himself on seeing opportunity where others saw obstacles, on recognizing talent in unexpected places. But had he ever really looked at the people who cleaned his offices? The ones who emptied his trash, mopped his floors, made his building shine so he could impress his rich clients. He couldn't remember a single one of their names. "Gloria," he said slowly, "can you help me? Can you stop what's happening?" She looked at the screens behind him. The red alerts were multiplying. Time was running out. "I don't know," she admitted. "It's been 5 years since I've done this kind of work. And whoever attacked you, they're professionals. This isn't some kid in a basement." "But you understand what they're doing?" "Yes." "Better than anyone else in this building right now." Gloria hesitated. Then she nodded. "Probably." Marcus walked to his desk and pulled out his master access card, the one that opened every door, accessed every system, controlled every secret in Horizon Tech. He held it out to her. "Then help me. Please." Gloria looked at the card, then at him. "You don't know me. You don't know if I'm telling the truth about anything. For all you know, I could be part of this attack." "Are you?" "No." "Then take it." She still didn't reach for it. "Why would you trust me? I'm nobody. I'm the cleaning lady." Marcus thought about that. Thought about his mother, coming home exhausted from scrubbing rich people's floors, being treated like she was less than human. "My mother was a cleaning lady," he said quietly. "She raised me by herself, worked 60 hours a week so I could go to school. She was the smartest, strongest person I ever knew. And nobody ever saw it because they couldn't look past the uniform." He held the card out further. "I'm looking at you right now, Gloria. I see you, and I'm asking for your help." Gloria's eyes glistened. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she reached out and took the card. "All right, Mr. Cole. Let's see what we can do." She pushed her cleaning cart aside and walked to his computer. Her fingers touched the keyboard, and suddenly the hesitation was gone. She moved with precision and confidence, like a surgeon approaching the operating table. "First thing," she said, typing rapidly, "we need to isolate the infected systems before they spread further. How are your backup servers configured? Separate network, Marcus said, leaning over her shoulder. Completely air-gapped from the main system. We keep them off-site as a fail-safe. Gloria paused. For the first time since this nightmare started, she smiled. Mr. Cole, that might have just saved your company. What do you mean? Whoever attacked you, they're good, really good. But they made an assumption. They thought your backups were connected to your main network, like most companies. If your backups are truly isolated, they never touch them. Hope flickered in Marcus's chest. A dangerous thing. So, we can restore everything? Maybe, but first we need to stop the bleeding. Can you get me to the server room? They took the elevator to the basement. Marcus had been down here dozens of times, but tonight it felt different. The cold air, the humming machines, the endless rows of servers blinking with lights that usually meant everything was fine. Now those lights were flashing red. Gloria walked between the racks like she belonged there. Her cleaning uniform looked absurd in this high-tech environment, but her movements told a different story. This woman knew exactly what she was doing. Here, she said, stopping at a terminal. I need you to log in with your credentials. Full administrative access. Marcus typed in his password. The system accepted it. Gloria took over. Her fingers flew across the keyboard so fast, Marcus could barely follow. Windows opened and closed. Code scrolled across the screen. She was speaking under her breath, technical jargon that washed over him. They're using a distributed attack, she muttered. Multiple entry points. Smart. They didn't want to trigger any single alarm, so they came in slow and quiet through a dozen different doors. Can you stop them? I'm trying to build a wall, contain them in the systems they've already compromised, while I protect what's left. Minutes passed, then hours. Marcus stood behind her, watching, helpless. He was used to being the one in control, the one giving orders. Now all he could do was trust this stranger. Gloria worked without stopping. No breaks, no complaints. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Her eyes never left the screen. At one point, Marcus brought her coffee from the break room. She took it without looking, gulped it down cold, and kept working. Come on, she whispered to the computer. Come on, don't do this to me. What's wrong? They've got a kill switch. If I push too hard, they'll trigger it and wipe everything before I can save it. I need to be careful. How careful? Brain surgery careful. One wrong move and it's over. Around 2 a.m., Gloria leaned back in her chair and let out a long breath. I've stopped the bleeding, she said. They can't delete anything else. But they got a lot before I locked them out. Customer data, financial records, some proprietary code. Marcus felt sick. How much? Maybe 30% of your total data. It's bad, but it's not fatal. Not if we move fast. What do you need? Time, and access to your backup servers. If they're really isolated like you said, I can start the restoration process. But it's going to take hours, maybe all night. Marcus looked at this woman, exhausted, still wearing her cleaning uniform, fighting for a company that had never even noticed she existed. Why are you doing this? He asked. Gloria stopped typing. She turned to look at him, and for a moment, her mask slipped. He saw the exhaustion, the grief, the years of being invisible. Because 5 years ago, when my husband was dying, I prayed for a miracle. I prayed for someone to help us, to see us, to care. Nobody came. The hospital didn't care. The insurance company didn't care. The world kept moving while we drowned. She turned back to the computer. Maybe I can be someone else's miracle tonight. Maybe that's worth something. Marcus didn't have words, so he just stood there, beside her, as she fought to save everything he'd built. And somewhere in those long, dark hours, something changed between them. They were no longer a billionaire and a janitor. They were just two people fighting together against something bigger than both of them. At 5:47 a.m., the screen flashed a message. Restoration complete. Gloria slumped in her chair. Her hands were trembling. Her eyes were red with exhaustion. "It's done," she whispered. "Your company's alive again." Marcus stared at the screen. All his data restored. His systems secure. His company saved. By a cleaning lady. He turned to Gloria, and for the first time in 12 years, Marcus Cole felt tears burning in his eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." Gloria smiled weakly. "You don't have to, she hesitated. "Just remember this feeling. Remember what it's like when someone helps you when you've got nothing left to offer them. And maybe, someday, you can do the same for someone else." She stood up, swaying slightly from exhaustion. Marcus grabbed her arm to steady her. "Where are you going?" "My shift ended hours ago. I should get home." "Gloria," Marcus tightened his grip gently. "You just saved my company. You saved everything I've worked for. You think I'm going to let you walk away like nothing happened?" She looked at him, uncertain. "What else is there?" Marcus thought about the morning ahead. His employees would arrive. The deal would proceed. Life would go on. But something had to change. He had to change. "Stay," he said. "Have breakfast with me. Let me figure out how to make this right." Gloria was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Okay, Mr. Cole. I'll stay." "Marcus," he said. "Call me Marcus." They sat in his office as dawn broke over Chicago. The city came alive below them. Cars filling the streets, lights flickering on in buildings. A new day beginning. Marcus looked at the woman across from him, still in her cleaning uniform, still exhausted, still the most remarkable person he'd met in years. "Tell me more about yourself," he said. "Everything. I want to know." And as the sun rose higher and the office started to fill with employees who had no idea what had happened in the night, Gloria began to talk. She told him about growing up in Alabama, about her grandmother who raised her, who always said that education was the way out, about working 2 jobs to put herself through college, earning a degree in computer science when people told her a black woman from the South had no business in tech. She told him about meeting James, her husband, how he'd made her laugh, how he'd believed in her when nobody else did, how watching him die had broken something inside her that she wasn't sure could ever be fixed. And she told him about the nights spent cleaning offices, invisible and forgotten, her brilliant mind wasting away while she scrubbed floors and emptied trash cans for people who never looked her in the eye. Marcus listened to every word, and by the time she finished, he knew what he had to do. His employees started arriving around 8 a.m. They found their CEO sitting in his office with a woman in a cleaning uniform, both of them drinking coffee, surrounded by screens showing systems that had somehow come back from the dead. Nobody knew what to say. Derek Shaw, the CTO, was the first to knock on the door. He looked at Gloria with barely concealed disgust. "Marcus, what's going on? I got a dozen alerts on my phone last night." "Something about a security breach?" "We were attacked," Marcus said calmly. "Someone tried to destroy us. They almost succeeded." Derek's face went pale. "What? How bad is it?" "It would have been catastrophic. But Ms. Johnson here stopped them." Derek looked at Gloria like she was something stuck to his shoe. "The cleaning lady? You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" The silence in that office was deafening. Other employees had gathered in the hallway, whispering among themselves. Gloria sat very still, her hands folded in her lap. Marcus could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she braced herself for the dismissal she expected. But Marcus wasn't going to let that happen. Not today. Not ever again. "I'm calling an emergency board meeting," he said. 1 hour. Everyone needs to hear what happened last night. Derek's eyes narrowed. "Marcus, maybe we should discuss this privately first." 1 hour, Derek. Make sure everyone's there. As his employees scattered to prepare for the meeting, Marcus turned to Gloria. "I'm going to offer you a job," he said. "Head of cybersecurity. You'd report directly to me. Full benefits, salary that matches your expertise, equity in the company." Gloria stared at him. "Mr. Cole, Marcus, you don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to. I want to. You saved my company. You proved you're brilliant at this. Why wouldn't I want you leading my security team?" "Because," she gestured at herself, "look at me. I'm wearing a cleaning uniform. I haven't worked in tech for 5 years. Nobody's going to take me seriously." "I'll make them take you seriously." "It's not that simple." "Then we'll make it that simple." Gloria was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. "I spent 5 years being invisible. 5 years watching people look right through me. You're the first person who's seen me in so long, I'd almost forgotten what it felt like." Marcus leaned forward. "Then let me keep seeing you. Let me show everyone else what I see. A brilliant woman who deserves so much more than she's been given." Gloria's eyes filled with tears. She wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. "Okay," she said. "I'll take the job. But I want you to know something first." "What?" She looked at him directly. "I didn't help you for a job. I didn't help you for money. I helped you because it was the right thing to do, and because everyone deserves someone in their corner when everything falls apart." "I know," Marcus said. "That's exactly why I want you on my team." But neither of them knew that upstairs in the boardroom, Derek Shaw was making a phone call. "We have a problem," he said quietly into his phone. "The attack failed. Someone stopped it. I need to know what we do next." He listened to the voice on the other end. "Understood," he said. "I'll handle it." He hung up and looked out the window at the Chicago skyline. The game wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. The boardroom filled with people who didn't want to be there. Executives in expensive suits, department heads clutching coffee cups, investors dialing in through video screens mounted on the walls. They all wore the same expression: confusion mixed with irritation at being summoned so early, with so little explanation. Marcus stood at the head of the long table. Gloria sat in a chair against the wall, still wearing her gray cleaning uniform. She'd refused to change, refused to hide who she was. Derek Shaw sat near the front, arms crossed, jaw tight. He hadn't stopped watching Gloria since she walked in. Marcus waited until the room settled. Then he spoke. "Last night, Horizon Tech was attacked. A coordinated cyber attack designed to destroy us completely. Customer data, financial records, proprietary code. Everything that makes this company valuable was targeted for elimination." Murmurs rippled through the room. One of the investors, a silver-haired man named Patterson, leaned forward on his video screen. "How bad is the damage, Marcus?" "It would have been total. We would have lost everything." Marcus paused. "But we didn't. Because of this woman, right here." Every eye in the room turned to Gloria. She kept her gaze steady, her hands folded in her lap. "This is Gloria Johnson," Marcus continued. "She's been working as a night custodian in this building for the past 3 years. Last night, she walked into my office while I was watching our systems crash. She recognized what was happening. She understood it better than anyone on our security team, and she spent 6 hours fighting to save us." Derek let out a small laugh. You're telling us the janitor saved the company? Come on, Marcus. I'm telling you exactly what happened, and you expect us to believe that someone pushing a mop just happened to know more than our entire IT department? Gloria spoke for the first time. Her voice was calm, but there was steel underneath it. Before I pushed that mop, Mr. Shaw, I spent 8 years at Morrison & Associates in San Francisco. I led teams that protected Bank of America, Kaiser Permanente, and 3 different defense contractors. I hold certifications in CISSP, CEH, and OSCP. I've forgotten more about network security than most people ever learn. The room went quiet. Derek's face reddened. If you're so qualified, why are you cleaning toilets? Because my husband got cancer. Because I spent 2 years watching him die. Because by the time it was over, I had $200,000 in debt and an industry that had moved on without me. Gloria met his eyes without flinching. Life doesn't always follow the path we plan, Mr. Shaw, but it doesn't make us less than what we are. Marcus watched the exchange with growing respect. This woman had just walked into a room full of people who wanted to dismiss her, and she'd held her ground without raising her voice. Starting today, Marcus announced, Gloria will be leading our new cybersecurity division. She reports directly to me. Her first task will be to rebuild our defenses from the ground up. Derek stood up so fast, his chair scraped against the floor. This is insane. You're putting our entire company's security in the hands of someone we don't know, based on one night? What about background checks? What about verification? She proved herself when it mattered, Marcus said. That's verification enough for me. The board won't approve this. The board will do what I recommend, and I'm recommending Gloria Johnson. Derek looked around the room, searching for allies. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats, but nobody spoke up to support him. Fine, Derek said, his voice cold. But when this blows up in your face, remember that I warned you. He walked out of the meeting without looking back. The door slammed behind him. Marcus turned to the remaining executives. Anyone else have concerns they'd like to voice? Silence. Good. Then let's get to work. We have a company to protect. The meeting dispersed, people filing out with their heads together, whispering. Gloria remained seated against the wall. When the room was finally empty, she let out a breath she'd been holding. Well, she said quietly, that could have gone worse. Marcus sat down across from her. Derek's been with me for 8 years. I've never seen him react like that. He doesn't like change, and he really doesn't like being shown up by someone he considers beneath him. Is that what you think this is? Professional jealousy? Gloria was quiet for a moment. Maybe. Or maybe it's something else. What do you mean? She hesitated. Last night, while I was working on your systems, I noticed some patterns. Access logs that didn't quite add up. Timestamps that seemed off. Marcus leaned forward. Are you saying someone inside the company was involved? I'm saying I'd like to look deeper before I make any accusations. But yes, that's my instinct. A chill ran down Marcus's spine. The idea that someone he trusted might have betrayed him was almost worse than the attack itself. Do whatever you need to do, he said. Full access to everything, no restrictions. Just find out who did this. Gloria nodded. I will. But I need you to understand something, Marcus. If I'm right about this, it means someone close to you is an enemy. Are you prepared for that? He thought about Derek storming out of the meeting, about the years of trust they'd built together, about how much it would hurt to discover that trust had been misplaced. I have to be, he said. The truth matters more than comfort. Gloria stood up. Then let's find it. Over the next 2 weeks, Gloria transformed Horizon Tech's security infrastructure. She worked 18-hour days, often sleeping on the couch in her new office, because going home seemed like a waste of time. She hired a small team of young engineers, people she personally vetted, and trained them in techniques most security firms had never heard of. She rebuilt firewalls, implemented new authentication protocols, and created monitoring systems that tracked every byte of data moving through the network. But her real focus was the investigation. Late at night, when the building was empty, Gloria sat alone in the server room, tracing access logs and analyzing patterns. The attack had been sophisticated, yes, but it had also been targeted. Whoever planned it knew exactly where Horizon Tech's weaknesses were. They knew which systems to hit and which to avoid. That kind of knowledge didn't come from outside research. It came from someone who had been inside the building, walking these halls, attending meetings, reading confidential reports. Gloria pulled up employee access records going back 6 months. She cross-referenced them with the attack timeline, looking for anyone who had accessed sensitive systems in the days before the breach. One name appeared more often than it should have: Derek Shaw. She stared at the screen, her heart pounding. Derek was the CTO. Of course his name would appear in security logs, but these weren't routine access events. These were late-night logins after everyone else had gone home. Encrypted file transfers to external servers. Deleted emails that Gloria had managed to recover from backup archives. One email in particular made her blood run cold. It was sent 3 days before the attack to an address she didn't recognize. The message was simple. Timeline moved up. Execute Friday night. Make sure Cole is alone. Gloria sat back in her chair, her mind racing. This wasn't just corporate espionage. This was premeditated sabotage, planned in detail, with Marcus specifically targeted. She needed to tell him, but she also needed more evidence. If she accused Derek Shaw without proof that would stand up in court, he would simply deny everything and disappear. So she set a trap. Gloria created fake files, databases filled with information that looked valuable, but was actually worthless. She placed them in locations that only someone with insider access would know about. Then she set up monitoring that would alert her the moment anyone accessed them. 2 days later, at 11:43 p.m., her phone buzzed. Someone had taken the bait. Gloria pulled up the access logs and traced the intrusion back to its source. The login credentials belonged to Derek Shaw. The access point was a terminal in his office. She had him. But when she showed the evidence to Marcus the next morning, his reaction wasn't what she expected.
Derek,
He said quietly, staring at the screen. I gave him his first job in tech. I was best man at his wedding. His kids call me Uncle Marcus. I'm sorry, Gloria said. I know this is hard. Hard? Marcus laughed bitterly. I trusted this man with everything. He helped me build this company. He was supposed to be my partner. People change. Money changes them. Desperation changes them. What could he possibly be desperate about? I paid him more than most CEOs make. Gloria pulled up another file. I traced his communications to an external company, Titan Systems. They've been trying to acquire Horizon Tech for years, but you've always refused to sell. Marcus nodded slowly. Richard Callahan. He runs Titan. He's approached me at least 12 times. I always turned him down. So he found another way. Pay someone inside to destroy you, drive down your stock price, then swoop in and buy the pieces for pennies on the dollar. And Derek agreed to help him for $2 million and a vice president position at Titan. It's all in the emails. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. I want to confront him, face to face. I want to hear him explain why he did this. That's dangerous. If he knows we're onto him, he might run, or worse. I don't care. I need to understand. Gloria saw the pain in his eyes and knew there was no point arguing. This wasn't about strategy anymore. It was about closure. Okay, she said, but we do it on our terms, and I'm going to be there when it happens. They called Derek to Marcus's office at 6 p.m., when most employees had already gone home. Derek walked in looking irritated, checking his phone. "What's this about, Marcus? I have dinner plans." "Sit down, Derek." Something in Marcus's tone made Derek pause. He looked at Gloria, who stood by the window with her arms crossed, then slowly took a seat. "What's going on?" Marcus slid a folder across the desk. "Open it." Derek's expression didn't change as he flipped through the pages. Printouts of emails, access logs, bank transfer records showing $2 million deposited into an offshore account. "This is interesting reading," Derek said calmly. "Where did you get it?" "You know where. The question is, why? After everything we've built together, why would you do this?" Derek was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, and it was the coldest smile Marcus had ever seen. "You really don't get it, do you?" Derek leaned back in his chair. "Everything we built together. That's the joke, Marcus. You built it. I just worked for you. For 8 years, I watched you take credit for ideas that came from my team. I watched you get rich while I got a salary and a pat on the head. You think you're some kind of visionary? You're just lucky. Lucky and clueless." Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the gut. "That's not true. I always valued your contributions. I told everyone how important you were." "Words," Derek spat. "Empty words. Do you know what Titan offered me? A real partnership, equity, a seat at the table instead of a chair in the corner. They saw what I was worth, even if you never did. So you decided to destroy the company? To hurt all the people who work here? Collateral damage. They'll find other jobs. The only one who was supposed to suffer was you, Marcus. You were supposed to lose everything, just like I lost my chance at the life I deserved." Gloria stepped forward. "The attack failed, Derek. The company is fine. The only thing you accomplished was exposing yourself." Derek turned to look at her, his eyes filled with contempt. "The cleaning lady speaks. You think you're so clever, don't you? Walking in here with your sob story about your dead husband, playing the victim while you steal what should have been mine." "I didn't steal anything. I earned it." "You cleaned toilets for 3 years. What did you earn except blisters and minimum wage?" Gloria's voice stayed level. "I earned the trust of a man who was willing to see past my circumstances to my capabilities, something you clearly couldn't understand." Derek stood up abruptly. "This conversation is over. You have nothing. Those emails could have been faked. Those access logs could have been manipulated. Any lawyer worth their fee will tear your evidence apart." "Maybe," Marcus said, "but the FBI might feel differently. They tend to be thorough." Derek's face went pale. "You wouldn't." "I already did. They're expecting my call in 10 minutes. I wanted to give you a chance to explain first. I wanted to believe there was some misunderstanding, some reason why the man I trusted for 8 years would try to destroy me." "Marcus, listen to me." Derek's voice changed, becoming desperate. "We can work this out. I have information, contacts at Titan. I can give you everything you need to take them down. Just let me walk away, and you'll never see me again." "That's not how this works, Derek. Think about what you're doing. The scandal alone could tank your stock price. Is that really what you want?" Marcus stood up slowly. What I want is justice. For me, for my employees, for everyone who trusted us with their data. You betrayed all of them. Derek's desperation turned to rage. He lunged across the desk, grabbing for the folder of evidence. Gloria moved faster than Marcus thought possible, intercepting Derek and twisting his arm behind his back. "Don't," she said quietly. "Just don't." Derek struggled for a moment, then went still. When he spoke again, his voice was hollow. "You think this is over? Titan won't stop just because you caught me. They'll find another way. They'll keep coming until they get what they want." Marcus walked to the door and opened it. 2 security guards stood waiting in the hallway. "Escort Mr. Shaw to the lobby. The police will be here shortly to take him into custody." As the guards led Derek away, he turned back one last time. "You should have taken the deal, Marcus. You should have just sold when you had the chance. Now you've made enemies who won't forget." The door closed behind him. Marcus stood very still, staring at the empty space where his oldest friend had just been. Gloria touched his arm gently. "Are you okay?" "No," he admitted. "I'm not. But I will be." He turned to look at her, this woman who had come into his life by accident and changed everything. "Thank you," he said, "for finding the truth, for having the courage to show me even when you knew it would hurt. That's what truth does sometimes. It hurts before it heals." Marcus nodded slowly. "Derek said Titan won't stop, that they'll keep coming." "He's probably right." "Then we need to be ready. We need to expose them completely. Make sure they can never do this to anyone else." Gloria smiled grimly. "I was hoping you'd say that, because I have some ideas about how to make that happen." The next 3 days were a blur of police interviews, lawyer meetings, and crisis communications. The news broke about Derek's arrest, and just as he'd predicted, the stock price took a hit. But Marcus got ahead of the story, giving interviews where he explained exactly what had happened and how the company had survived. The public response surprised everyone. Instead of running away, customers and investors rallied around Horizon Tech. They admired the transparency. They respected the courage it took to expose corruption from within. And they loved the story of Gloria Johnson. The image of a cleaning lady saving a billion-dollar company captured imaginations across the country. News outlets wanted interviews. Morning shows called. Gloria's face appeared on screens from New York to Los Angeles. She refused most of the requests. "I'm not interested in being famous," she told Marcus. "I'm interested in finishing what we started." The FBI launched a full investigation into Titan's systems. Using the evidence Gloria had gathered, along with Derek's eventual cooperation in exchange for a lighter sentence, prosecutors built a case that reached all the way to Richard Callahan himself. 3 weeks later, Callahan was arrested on charges of corporate espionage, conspiracy, and computer fraud. The news showed him being led out of Titan headquarters in handcuffs, his face a mask of disbelief. Marcus watched the footage in his office, with Gloria beside him. "It's over," he said quietly. "This part is over," Gloria corrected. "But rebuilding trust takes longer than tearing it down." "You sound like you're speaking from experience." She was quiet for a moment. "When James died, I thought my life was over too. Not just my career, but everything that mattered. It took me a long time to realize that endings can also be beginnings. That losing everything sometimes clears the way for something better." Marcus turned to look at her. "Is that what you think this is? Something better?" Gloria met his eyes. "I think it could be, if we let it." There was something in her gaze that made Marcus's heart beat faster. Something that had been building between them since that first night, unspoken but undeniable. "Gloria," he said softly, "I need to tell you something." "What?" He hesitated. The words felt dangerous, like stepping off a cliff without knowing if there was water below. These past few weeks, working with you, watching you fight for this company, fight for me, I've never met anyone like you. You're brilliant and brave, and you see the world in ways I never could. Gloria's breath caught. Marcus. I know the timing is terrible. I know we barely know each other. But I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop wondering what it would be like to have you in my life. Not just as an employee, but as... He trailed off, unsure how to finish. Gloria reached out and touched his hand. Her fingers were warm against his skin. I've been wondering the same thing, she admitted. But I need you to understand something. I didn't help you because I wanted something from you. I helped you because it was right. Whatever happens between us, that has to be separate from what I did. I know. That's part of why I feel this way. You're the most genuine person I've ever met. Gloria smiled, and for the first time since James died, it reached all the way to her eyes. Then maybe we should take this slow. Get to know each other. See where it goes without any pressure or expectations. I can do that. Good. She squeezed his hand, then let go. Now, we have a company to run. And I have about 100 security upgrades that need to be implemented before I can sleep properly. Marcus laughed, the tension breaking. Always back to work. That's how you got where you are, isn't it? Hard work and determination? And a little help from unexpected places. Gloria headed for the door, then paused. Marcus, thank you for seeing me, for giving me a chance when no one else would. Thank you for being worth seeing. She smiled one more time, then walked out to continue the work of rebuilding what had been broken. Marcus stood alone in his office, looking out at the Chicago skyline. The city sparkled below him, millions of lights, millions of lives, all connected in ways most people never realized. 3 weeks ago, he'd been a man who had everything and valued nothing. Now he was learning what truly mattered. Not the money or the power, but the people who stood beside you when everything fell apart. The battle with Titan was won. Derek was facing justice. The company was stronger than ever. But something told Marcus that the hardest part of his journey was still ahead. Not in boardrooms or courtrooms, but in the quiet spaces of his heart, where he was finally learning to let someone in. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Derek's warning echoed. Titan won't stop. They'll find another way. Marcus pushed the thought aside. Whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. Not anymore. 6 weeks after Derek Shaw's arrest, Gloria found the first note. It was tucked under the windshield wiper of her car, a simple white envelope with no name or address. She almost threw it away, thinking it was just another advertisement, but something made her open it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 5 words typed in bold black letters. You should have stayed invisible. Gloria's hands trembled as she read it again. She looked around the parking garage, but there was no one there, just rows of empty cars and the echo of her own breathing. She called Marcus immediately. Someone knows where I park, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Someone left me a message. What kind of message? A threat. They said I should have stayed invisible. Marcus was silent for a moment. Where are you right now? Parking garage at my apartment building. Stay there. Don't go inside. I'm sending security. Marcus, I can take care of myself. I know you can, but you're not going to. Not alone. Not anymore. 20 minutes later, a black SUV pulled into the garage. 2 men in dark suits got out and approached her car. One of them handed her a phone. Mr. Cole wants to speak with you, ma'am. Gloria took the phone. This is overkill, Marcus. This is necessary. Derek warned us that Titan wouldn't stop. We should have taken that more seriously. It's just a note. It could be anyone, a random crazy person. It's not random, and you know it. Someone is watching you, Gloria. Someone who knows what you did and wants you to pay for it. Gloria looked at the note again. The paper was high quality, expensive. The typing was precise, professional. This wasn't the work of some amateur trying to scare her. What do you want me to do? Come to the office. We'll figure this out together. It's almost midnight, Marcus. And I'll be here all night if that's what it takes. Please, Gloria, let me help you. She closed her eyes. For 5 years, she'd handled everything alone. James's illness, his death, the mountain of debt, the humiliation of cleaning offices after being one of the best in her field. She'd learned to rely only on herself, because that was the only person she could count on. But maybe that didn't have to be true anymore. Okay, she said quietly. I'm on my way. Marcus was pacing when she arrived. He stopped the moment she walked through the door and crossed the room in 3 strides. Are you all right? I'm fine. A little shaken, but fine. He took the note from her hands and read it, his jaw tightening with each word. This is Titan, he said. Has to be. Callahan's in custody, but he has people. Lawyers, fixers, loyal employees who'd do anything for him. Or it could be someone else entirely. I've made enemies over the years, Marcus. That's what happens when you're good at what I do. Either way, we need to take precautions. You're not safe. Gloria shook her head. I'm not going to hide. That's what they want. They want me to be afraid, to back off, to disappear again. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to be careful. There's a difference? Marcus took her hands in his. His touch was warm, steadying. I just found you, Gloria. I'm not going to lose you because some coward with a printer wants to play games. She looked into his eyes and saw something she hadn't expected. Fear. Real, genuine fear. Not for himself or his company, but for her. Okay, she said softly. We'll be careful. Together. The notes kept coming. One arrived at her office the next day, slipped under her door while she was in a meeting. Enjoying your new life? It won't last. Another appeared in her gym bag 3 days later. We know where you run. We know where you sleep. Each note was more specific than the last. They knew her routines, her habits, the coffee shop where she grabbed breakfast every morning. Someone was watching her every move. Marcus hired private investigators to track down the source. They found nothing. The paper was generic, available at any office supply store. The printer couldn't be traced. Whoever was doing this knew how to cover their tracks. Gloria couldn't sleep. Every sound in her apartment made her jump. Every stranger on the street seemed suspicious. The confidence she'd rebuilt over the past weeks was crumbling, replaced by a constant low-grade terror that never went away. She tried to hide it from Marcus, but he knew. You're exhausted, he said one evening, watching her work at her computer with red-rimmed eyes. When's the last time you slept? I'm fine. You're not fine. You're running on fumes and pretending everything's okay. Gloria stopped typing. Her shoulders slumped. I don't know what they want, she admitted. If it's money, they haven't asked. If it's revenge, they're taking their time. They're just torturing me. Slowly. Deliberately. Marcus pulled a chair next to hers and sat down. Come stay at my place. What? I have security. 24 hours. Nobody gets in or out without being checked. You'd be safe there. Marcus, I can't just move in with you. It's not moving in. It's staying somewhere safe until we figure out who's doing this. Gloria laughed bitterly. And what will people say? The cleaning lady shacking up with the billionaire? That'll be great for your reputation. I don't care about my reputation. I care about you." The words hung in the air between them. Gloria felt something shift in her chest. A wall she'd built after James died starting to crack. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you care so much?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Because you changed me, Gloria. Before you walked into my office that night, I thought I knew what mattered. Money, success, power. I built my whole life around those things. And when I almost lost them, I realized how empty they were." He reached out and touched her face, gently turning her toward him. "You showed me what real strength looks like. Not the kind that comes from money or position, but the kind that comes from getting knocked down over and over and still getting back up. From losing everything and still finding ways to help others. You're the most remarkable person I've ever met, and I'll be damned if I let some faceless coward hurt you." Gloria's eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared, Marcus. For the first time in years, I'm actually scared." "Then let me help carry that fear. You don't have to do this alone." She leaned into him, feeling his arms wrap around her, and for a moment, she let herself believe that everything might be okay. She moved into his guest room that night. At first, it was awkward. Gloria wasn't used to accepting help, and Marcus wasn't used to having someone in his space. They circled each other like strangers, polite and careful. But slowly, day by day, the walls came down. They started having breakfast together, talking about everything and nothing. Marcus told her about his childhood in Detroit, about watching his mother work herself to exhaustion, about the promises he'd made to himself and to her. Gloria told him about James, about the life they'd planned together, about the dreams that died with him. "He would have liked you," Gloria said one morning. "James. He always said I needed someone who could match my stubbornness." Marcus smiled. "I'm not sure anyone can match that. He came close, drove me crazy sometimes, but in the best way." "What was he like?" Gloria's eyes grew distant. "Gentle, kind, the sort of man who'd give his last dollar to a stranger and then figure out how to make more. He believed in people, even when they didn't deserve it. Sounds like someone else I know." Gloria laughed softly. "Maybe that's why I loved him. And maybe that's why—" She stopped herself, suddenly embarrassed. "Why what?" "Nothing. It's not important." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "Everything about you is important to me, Gloria." She looked at their intertwined fingers, feeling the warmth of his skin, the steadiness of his grip. "I'm not ready," she said quietly, "for whatever this is becoming. I'm not ready to feel this way about someone again." "I know." "It doesn't scare you?" "It terrifies me. But that's how you know it matters." Gloria squeezed his hand, then let go. "Give me time. That's all I'm asking." "You can have all the time you need." But time, as it turned out, was the one thing they didn't have. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. One of Marcus's private investigators had been tracking financial transactions connected to Titan systems. Most of them were legitimate business dealings, but one account stood out. It was receiving regular payments from a Cayman Islands shell company. Payments that started 2 days after Callahan's arrest. The investigator traced the account to a name Gloria recognized immediately: Victor Reyes. She'd worked with him years ago at Morrison & Associates. He was brilliant, ambitious, and utterly without conscience. They'd clashed constantly, competing for the same promotions, the same high-profile clients. When Gloria left to care for James, Victor had celebrated. He'd told everyone she was weak, that she couldn't cut it in the real world. "He's the one," Gloria said, staring at the report. "Victor is behind the notes." Marcus leaned over her shoulder. "How can you be sure?" "Because this is exactly what he would do. He doesn't just want to beat you. He wants to destroy you psychologically first. Break you down piece by piece until there's nothing left. Sounds like you know him well. Better than I'd like to. We worked together for 3 years. He made my life miserable every single day. So this is personal? Gloria nodded slowly. He probably found out about my connection to Horizon Tech. Maybe Titan reached out to him, or maybe he offered his services. Either way, he saw an opportunity to hurt me and get paid for it. Marcus's expression hardened. Then we find him. We stop him. It's not that simple. Victor is careful. He won't have left any direct evidence. The payments, the notes, everything will be routed through intermediaries. Then what do we do? Gloria was quiet for a long moment. An idea was forming in her mind. Dangerous and reckless, and possibly brilliant. We bait him, she said. We give him something he can't resist. Like what? Me. Marcus's face went pale. Absolutely not. Listen to me. Victor's obsessed with proving he's better than me. That's what drives him. If I make him think I'm vulnerable, that I'm breaking down, he won't be able to stay away. He'll want to see it happen up close. And then what? You just wait for him to show up and attack you? I wait for him to make a mistake. He's arrogant, Marcus. That's his weakness. He always has to gloat, always has to make sure his victims know who beat them. If I can get him to reveal himself, we'll have everything we need. Marcus shook his head violently. This is insane. I won't let you put yourself in danger like this. It's my decision. And what if something goes wrong? What if he's more dangerous than you remember? Gloria stood up and faced him directly. Then at least I'll go down fighting. That's more than I had when James died. That's more than I had when I was scrubbing floors and wondering if my life would ever mean anything again. Your life means something. It means everything to me. The words exploded out of Marcus before he could stop them. Gloria stared at him, shocked by the intensity in his voice. I'm not James, Marcus said, his voice breaking. I know that. I know I can never replace what you lost. But I love you, Gloria. I love you in a way I didn't know I was capable of. And the thought of losing you... He couldn't finish. Gloria crossed the distance between them and took his face in her hands. I love you too, she whispered. That's why I have to do this. Because as long as Victor is out there, as long as he's hunting me, neither of us will ever be safe. There has to be another way. If there is, I haven't found it. And every day we wait, he gets closer. Marcus closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were filled with reluctant acceptance. Then we do this together. I'm not letting you face him alone. I wouldn't want it any other way. They spent 3 days preparing. Gloria started leaving her apartment at predictable times, following the same routes, establishing patterns that would make Victor confident. She looked exhausted in public, jumped at loud noises, played the part of a woman falling apart. Behind the scenes, Marcus arranged surveillance, hidden cameras, GPS trackers, a team of security professionals ready to move at a moment's notice. On the 4th night, Gloria made her move. She went to a small bar in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where people came to drink alone and forget their troubles. She sat at a corner table, ordered whiskey, and waited. Victor arrived at 10:47 p.m. He looked older than she remembered, his dark hair streaked with gray, his face harder. But his eyes were the same, cold, calculating, lit with cruel intelligence. He slid into the booth across from her, smiling. Gloria Johnson, it's been a long time. Gloria kept her expression neutral, though her heart was pounding. Victor, you don't seem surprised to see me. I knew you'd come eventually. You never could resist gloating. Victor laughed. Still the same Gloria, so certain she's the smartest person in the room. Am I wrong? His smile faded slightly. You humiliated me when you left Morrison. Everyone said you were the better analyst, the better leader, the better everything. When you quit to play nursemaid to your dying husband, I thought I'd finally be free of your shadow. And were you? For a while. Then I heard about your little resurrection. The cleaning lady who saved a billion-dollar company. The inspirational story everyone couldn't stop talking about. His voice turned bitter. You were supposed to disappear. You were supposed to be nothing. Sorry to disappoint. Victor leaned forward, his eyes glittering with malice. I'm going to destroy you, Gloria. Not quickly, not cleanly, but thoroughly. By the time I'm done, no one will remember the hero. They'll only remember the broken woman who lost everything twice. Is that what the notes were about? Breaking me down? That was just the beginning. The notes, the surveillance, knowing everywhere you went. It was about showing you that you have no control, that you're helpless, that everything you've built can be taken away whenever I choose. Gloria forced herself to stay calm. And Titan? They're paying you for this? Victor shrugged. Callahan reached out after his arrest. He wanted revenge on everyone who brought him down. I was happy to help. The money is good, and the satisfaction, he smiled. The satisfaction is priceless. So this is about ego, about proving you're better than me. I am better than you. I always was. The world just couldn't see it because you were always in the way. Gloria leaned back in her seat. You know what's funny, Victor? I barely thought about you after I left. You were just another annoying colleague, not even worth remembering. And all these years, you've been obsessing over me? Victor's face darkened. You think you're clever. You think you can provoke me into making a mistake. But I'm not the same man you knew, Gloria. I've learned patience. Have you? Because from where I'm sitting, you look exactly the same. Small, insecure, desperate for validation. Victor's hand shot across the table and grabbed her wrist. His grip was painful. Careful, he hissed. I'm not the one who should be afraid here. Gloria didn't flinch. Actually, you are. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone, showing him the screen. It displayed a live feed from a camera mounted across the room, capturing everything they'd said. Victor's face went white. Smile, Gloria said. You're on camera. And that confession you just gave? It's already been transmitted to the FBI. Victor released her wrist and stood up, knocking over his chair. This doesn't matter. I'll deny everything. It's your word against mine. No, Victor. It's your words against you. Every threat, every admission about Titan, about the payments, it's all recorded. The bar door opened. 2 men in FBI jackets walked in, followed by 3 uniformed police officers. Victor looked around wildly, searching for an escape that didn't exist. Victor Reyes, one of the agents said, you're under arrest for conspiracy, stalking, and criminal harassment. You have the right to remain silent. As they handcuffed him, Victor turned back to Gloria. His face was contorted with rage. This isn't over, he snarled. You think you've won? There are others. Titan has resources you can't imagine. They'll find someone else. They'll keep coming until you're destroyed. Gloria stood up and walked toward him until they were face to face. Let them come, she said quietly. I'm not afraid anymore. Not of you. Not of anyone. The officers dragged Victor away. Gloria watched until he disappeared through the door, then let out a breath she felt like she'd been holding for weeks. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. I saw everything. Are you okay? She typed back. I'm okay. It's over. His response came immediately. I'm outside. Come to me. Gloria walked out of the bar into the cool night air. Marcus was waiting by his car. The moment she reached him, he pulled her into his arms. You were incredible, he whispered against her hair. I was terrified the whole time, but you were incredible." "I was terrified too," she admitted, "but I couldn't let him win. I couldn't let him take anything else from me." Marcus pulled back and looked at her face, his eyes shining. "I meant what I said before. I love you, Gloria." "I know. I love you too." He kissed her then, standing on that quiet street, while somewhere in the distance, sirens faded and the city kept moving around them. It wasn't a perfect moment. It was better than perfect. It was real. When they finally pulled apart, Gloria smiled. "Take me home." Marcus opened the car door for her. "Which home?" She looked at him steadily. "Ours." His smile could have lit up the whole city. 3 months had passed since Victor's arrest, and Gloria still woke up sometimes expecting to find another threatening note waiting for her. The fear had become a habit, etched into her bones like an old scar that ached when the weather changed. But the notes had stopped. Victor was awaiting trial. The FBI had dismantled his network of surveillance, tracing every camera he'd hidden, every tracker he'd planted. Gloria was finally safe. So why couldn't she shake the feeling that something was still wrong? She lay in bed next to Marcus, watching the early morning light creep across the ceiling. He was still asleep, his breathing deep and even, one arm draped across her waist. She studied his face, the lines that appeared when he frowned, the way his lips curved slightly, even in sleep. She loved him. God help her, she loved him more than she'd thought possible after James. But love didn't erase doubt. It didn't silence the voice in her head that whispered she didn't belong here, in this penthouse, in this life, with this man. Marcus stirred and opened his eyes. He smiled when he saw her watching him. "How long have you been awake?" "A while." "What's wrong?" Gloria shook her head. "Nothing. Just thinking." Marcus propped himself up on one elbow. "You've been thinking a lot lately. Talk to me." She hesitated. The words felt dangerous, like pulling a thread that might unravel everything. "Do you ever wonder if we move too fast?" Marcus went still. "What do you mean?" "I mean, 3 months ago, I was cleaning your office. Now I'm living in your penthouse, running your security division, sleeping in your bed. Sometimes it feels like someone else's life, like I'm just borrowing it until the real owner comes back." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. "Do you want to leave?" "No." The answer came immediately, surprising her with its certainty. "No, I don't want to leave. But I need you to understand something, Marcus. I spent 5 years being invisible. 5 years believing I didn't deserve anything good. That kind of thinking doesn't just disappear because circumstances change." "Then what do you need?" Gloria turned to face him fully. "I need to know that this is real, that you love me, not just the idea of me. Not the cleaning lady who saved your company. Not the story that makes you feel like a good person for giving me a chance. Me, Gloria, with all my baggage and broken pieces." Marcus reached out and cupped her face in his hands. "Listen to me," he said, his eyes intense. "I didn't fall in love with a story. I fell in love with a woman who walked into my darkest moment and refused to let me drown. I fell in love with your strength, your courage, your brilliance, but also your stubbornness, your fear, your midnight conversations about things that keep you awake." He kissed her forehead gently. "I don't want a perfect version of you, Gloria. I want the real one. Every broken piece, every scar, all of it." Gloria felt tears welling up, hot and unexpected. She'd built so many walls over the years, and this man kept finding ways through them. "I'm scared," she admitted. "The last time I let myself love someone completely, I lost him. I watched him die, piece by piece, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I know. What if the same thing happens to us? What if we build this life together, and then it all falls apart? Marcus pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. Then we'll face it together, whatever comes. I can't promise you forever, Gloria. Nobody can. But I can promise you right now, today, tomorrow, every day I have left. Gloria buried her face in his chest, letting the tears come. For so long, she'd been strong because she had to be. Strong because there was no one else to carry the weight. But maybe being strong didn't mean carrying everything alone. Maybe it meant letting someone help. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." They stayed like that until the morning light filled the room and the world outside began to wake up. Neither of them knew that their peace was about to be shattered in ways they couldn't have imagined. The call came at 2:47 in the afternoon. Gloria was in her office, reviewing security protocols for the new server installation, when her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost let it go to voicemail, but something made her answer. "Gloria Johnson?" "Speaking." "This is Agent Michelle Torres with the FBI. I'm the lead prosecutor on the Titan Systems case. We need to talk." Gloria's stomach tightened. "Is something wrong?" "Not exactly, but there's been a development. Can you come to our field office this afternoon? It's urgent." "I can be there in an hour." "Good. And Miss Johnson, don't bring anyone. This conversation needs to be private." The line went dead. Gloria stared at her phone, her mind racing. Why would the FBI want to meet privately? What development could be so sensitive that Marcus couldn't know about it? She left without telling anyone where she was going. The FBI field office was a gray building downtown, all security checkpoints and fluorescent lighting. Agent Torres met her in the lobby, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s with a no-nonsense demeanor. "Thank you for coming on short notice," Torres said, leading her to a small conference room. "Please, sit down." Gloria took a seat across from the agent, her nerves on edge. "What's this about?" Torres opened a folder and slid a photograph across the table. Gloria looked at it and felt her blood freeze. It was a picture of Marcus. But not the Marcus she knew. This was a younger version, maybe mid-20s, standing next to a man Gloria recognized from news reports. Richard Callahan, the CEO of Titan Systems. The man who had tried to destroy them. "This photograph was taken 18 years ago," Torres said, "at a tech conference in San Jose. Your boyfriend and Richard Callahan were friends." Gloria shook her head. "That's not possible. Marcus has always said he never met Callahan before the attempted takeover." "That's what he told you, but we've uncovered evidence suggesting their relationship goes back much further than anyone realized." Torres pulled out more documents. Financial records showing money moving between companies Marcus had worked for and early Titan subsidiaries. Email exchanges that referenced projects they'd collaborated on. A pattern of connections that spanned almost 2 decades. "We're not suggesting Mr. Cole was involved in the attack on his own company," Torres said carefully. "But we are suggesting that his history with Callahan is more complicated than he's admitted. And that raises questions." Gloria's mind was reeling. What kind of questions? Questions about what Marcus Cole knew and when he knew it. Questions about whether the attack might have been a setup, a way to appear like a victim while actually positioning Horizon Tech for something bigger. Questions about whether you, Ms. Johnson, might have been manipulated. That's insane. Marcus almost lost everything that night. I saw his face. He wasn't pretending. Maybe not. Or maybe he's a very good actor. Torres leaned forward. "I'm not trying to convince you of anything, Ms. Johnson. I'm trying to give you information. What you do with it is your choice." Gloria stood up abruptly, I've heard enough. There's one more thing. Torres handed her a USB drive. Everything I've shown you is on here, plus additional materials we've collected. Take it, review it, and if you find anything that confirms or contradicts what we've discussed, I'd appreciate a call. Gloria took the drive, her hand trembling slightly. Why are you telling me this? Why not just bring Marcus in for questioning? Torres's expression softened slightly. Because I believe you're a good person caught in a complicated situation, and because sometimes the truth comes easier from someone you love than from a badge. Gloria walked out of that building feeling like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. Everything she thought she knew, everything she'd believed about Marcus and their relationship, suddenly seemed uncertain. She drove around for hours, unable to face going home. When darkness fell, she finally pulled into the parking lot of a small park and plugged the USB drive into her laptop. The files were extensive: financial records, photographs, email transcripts, hours of material that painted a picture of Marcus Cole she'd never seen before. A man with secrets, a man with a hidden past, a man who might have been lying to her from the very beginning. But something didn't add up. The emails were vague, the financial connections circumstantial. Everything Torres had shown her was suggestive, not definitive. It raised questions, yes, but it didn't prove anything. Gloria had spent her career analyzing data, looking for patterns that others missed. And now, as she studied the FBI's evidence with fresh eyes, she began to see a different pattern emerge. The documents were too convenient, too perfectly organized. The trail led exactly where someone wanted it to lead, without any of the messiness that real investigations usually uncovered. This wasn't evidence of Marcus's guilt. This was a setup. Someone wanted Gloria to doubt the man she loved. Someone was trying to destroy their relationship from the inside. But who? Victor was in custody. Derek was awaiting trial. Callahan was behind bars. Then it hit her. The FBI agent. Torres. Gloria hadn't verified her identity. She'd just followed a woman with a badge into a building that could have been anywhere. Gloria grabbed her phone and called the FBI field office directly. "I need to speak with Agent Michelle Torres," she said. "It's urgent." The receptionist put her on hold for a long moment, then came back with words that made Gloria's heart stop. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have an agent by that name. Are you sure you have the right office?" Gloria hung up without answering. Her hands were shaking. She'd been played. Whoever was behind this had posed as a federal agent, fed her false evidence, and tried to turn her against Marcus. And she'd almost fallen for it. She drove home as fast as traffic allowed, her mind racing through possibilities. Marcus was waiting for her when she walked through the door, his face creased with worry. "Where have you been? I've been calling for hours." "We need to talk." Gloria pulled out the USB drive and handed it to him. "Someone is trying to frame you, and they almost convinced me to help them do it." She told him everything. The phone call, the fake agent, the manufactured evidence. Marcus listened in silence, his expression growing darker with each revelation. "Let me see the files," he said when she finished. They sat together at his computer, going through the documents one by one. Marcus's face was unreadable as he examined the photographs, the emails, the financial records. "Some of this is real," he admitted quietly. "I did know Richard Callahan years ago. We met at conferences, worked on a few industry projects together. But we were never friends. We were barely acquaintances. Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because it wasn't relevant, or at least I didn't think it was." He ran his hand through his hair. "When Titan started trying to acquire Horizon Tech, I recognized Callahan's name. But by then we hadn't spoken in over a decade. I had no idea he was behind the attacks until everything came out." "The FBI? The real FBI? They never asked you about this connection?" "They did. I told them exactly what I'm telling you. We knew each other years ago. We drifted apart. End of story. Gloria studied his face, searching for any sign of deception. But all she saw was exhaustion and hurt. "I believe you," she said. Marcus looked up, surprise and relief flooding his features. "You do?" "I've spent my whole life reading people, Marcus, looking for lies, looking for hidden agendas, and I don't see any of that in you." "Then who did this? Who's trying to destroy us?" Gloria's jaw tightened. "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." The answer came 3 days later, from a source Gloria never expected. She received a call from the federal prison where Derek Shaw was being held awaiting trial. He wanted to see her. Just her. No lawyers, no Marcus. Against her better judgment, she agreed. The visitation room was cold and sterile. Derek sat across from her, looking thinner than she remembered, his eyes hollow. "You came," he said. "I wasn't sure you would." "What do you want, Derek?" "To warn you." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Something's happening. Something bigger than any of us realized." "I'm listening." Derek glanced around nervously. The attack on Horizon Tech wasn't Callahan's idea. He was just the face of it. The money, the planning, the whole operation came from somewhere else. Where? A consortium. Investors who've been buying up tech companies for years. They identify targets, manufacture crises, then swoop in and acquire the pieces. Titan was just their tool. Gloria felt a chill run down her spine. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they're not done with Marcus. Or with you." Derek's voice dropped even lower. "The woman who approached you, the fake FBI agent, she works for them. They've been watching you for months, waiting for the right moment to make their move." "What do they want?" "Horizon Tech, same as always. But now they want something else, too." Derek met her eyes. "They want you gone, Gloria. You've become too big a problem, too visible, too capable of fighting back." "Are they going to try to kill me?" "I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe they'll just destroy your reputation, make you look like a fraud. Either way, you're in danger." Gloria stood up. "Why should I trust you? You betrayed Marcus. You almost destroyed everything he built." "I know," Derek's voice cracked. "And I have to live with that. But I'm not a monster, Gloria. I made a choice for money, and it was the worst decision of my life. This is the only way I know to make it right." He slid a piece of paper across the table. A name and address. "This is their point person in Chicago. Find him, and you'll find your answers." Gloria took the paper and left without another word. She didn't tell Marcus where she was going. Didn't tell anyone. This was something she had to do herself. The address led to a warehouse in an industrial district on the outskirts of the city. Gloria parked a block away and approached on foot, every sense on alert. The building looked abandoned. Broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, a chain-link fence that had been cut in several places. But there were fresh tire tracks in the dirt lot, and a light glowing faintly from somewhere inside. Gloria found a side door that was slightly ajar. She slipped through, moving silently through the darkness. Voices echoed from somewhere ahead. 2 men, maybe 3, speaking in low tones. She crept closer until she could make out the words. "The Johnson woman is becoming a liability. We should have dealt with her months ago. Callahan wanted to do it his way. Look where that got us. Callahan's an idiot. Always was. The only reason we kept him around was because he had access to legitimate businesses. Now that he's in prison, we need a new approach." Gloria pressed herself against the wall, barely breathing. "What about Cole?" "He's collateral damage. Once we take out his security chief, his whole operation falls apart. We wait 6 months. Let the stock price drop, then make our move. And if she doesn't scare easy? A pause, then everyone scares. You just have to find the right pressure point. Gloria had heard enough. She started backing toward the exit, moving as quietly as she'd come. But her foot caught on a piece of debris. Metal scraped against concrete. The sound echoed through the empty warehouse like a gunshot. The voices stopped. "What was that?" "Someone's here. Check the perimeter." Gloria ran. She heard shouts behind her, footsteps pounding on concrete, but she didn't look back. She burst through the side door and sprinted for her car, her heart threatening to explode in her chest. She made it. Barely. As she peeled out of the lot, she saw 3 men emerge from the building, their faces visible in her headlights for just a moment before she sped away. She'd seen them, and they'd seen her. The game had changed again. Gloria called Marcus from the car, her voice breathless. "I found them. The people behind everything." "Where are you? Are you safe?" "I'm on my way home. But, Marcus, they know I'm onto them. They're going to move fast now." "We need to call the FBI. The real FBI." "Already on it. But there's something else." Gloria took a deep breath. "They're not just after Horizon Tech. They're after me specifically. They see me as the biggest threat." "Then we protect you. We throw everything we have at this." "It's not that simple. These people have resources, connections. They've been doing this for years without getting caught." "I don't care. Nobody threatens the woman I love and gets away with it." Gloria felt something warm bloom in her chest, despite the fear. "I love you too. But Marcus, promise me something." "Anything." "If something happens to me, don't let them win. Take everything I've found and burn them to the ground." "Nothing is going to happen to you." "Promise me." A long pause. Then, "I promise." Gloria hung up and focused on the road ahead. The lights of Chicago glittered in the distance, millions of lives going on unaware of the battle being fought in the shadows. She'd spent 5 years being invisible, 5 years being overlooked, underestimated, forgotten. But she wasn't invisible anymore, and she wasn't going to let anyone make her disappear again. Whatever came next, she would face it. Not alone, not running, but standing tall, fighting back, refusing to surrender. That was who she was now, and nothing, nobody, could take that away. The next 72 hours were the longest of Gloria's life. She and Marcus worked around the clock, gathering evidence, coordinating with federal authorities, building a case against the consortium that had been hunting them. The real FBI, once they understood the scope of what they were dealing with, mobilized resources Gloria didn't even know existed. But the consortium moved fast too. 2 days after Gloria's discovery at the warehouse, Horizon Tech's stock price began to drop. Rumors circulated online about financial irregularities, security breaches, executive misconduct. None of it was true. But truth didn't matter when fear took hold. Investors started pulling out. Partners called to express concern. The company Marcus had spent 12 years building was hemorrhaging value by the hour. Gloria watched him pace his office, phone pressed to his ear, trying to reassure people who didn't want to be reassured. "It's coordinated," she said when he finally hung up. "They're attacking from every angle at once. Financial, reputational, operational. Classic destabilization campaign." "How do we stop it?" "We can't. Not directly. The only way to end this is to expose them completely. Make the truth so undeniable that their lies fall apart." Marcus stopped pacing. "What do you need?" "Access to everything. Every document, every communication, every financial record Horizon Tech has ever generated. If there's a connection to the consortium, I'll find it." You already have access to everything. Then I need time, and I need you to trust me. Marcus walked over and took her hands. I've trusted you since the night you saved my company. That's not going to change now. Gloria worked for 36 hours straight. She barely ate, barely slept, fueled by coffee and determination. Her team helped where they could, but most of the work required her specific expertise, her ability to see patterns that others missed. And slowly, piece by piece, the picture came together. The consortium called themselves Apex Partners. They've been operating for over 20 years, hidden behind layers of shell companies and offshore accounts. Their strategy was always the same: identify a successful tech company, infiltrate it from within, manufacture a crisis, then acquire the wreckage at a fraction of its value. Titan Systems had been one of their tools. Richard Callahan had thought he was the puppet master. But he was just another puppet, dancing on strings held by people he never saw. The same was true for Derek Shaw, for Victor Reyes, for everyone who had attacked Horizon Tech. They were all pawns in a game designed by Apex Partners. Gloria traced the money flows, mapped the relationships, documented everything. By the time she was done, she had enough evidence to bring down not just the consortium, but dozens of executives, lawyers, and politicians who had helped them over the years. She presented her findings to Marcus at 3 a.m. on the third day. "This is incredible," he said, scrolling through the files. "How did you find all this?" "They got sloppy. They've been operating in the shadows for so long, they forgot what it's like when someone actually looks for them." "What do we do with it?" Gloria had thought about this carefully. "We go public. Not just to the FBI, but to the media, to Congress, to everyone. We make this so big that they can't bury it, can't spin it, can't make it disappear." "That's risky. If we're wrong about any of this..." "We're not wrong. I've verified everything 3 times. This is solid, Marcus. This is the truth." He looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Let's burn them down." The press conference was held at 10 a.m. the next morning. Every major news outlet in the country sent reporters. The room was packed with cameras, microphones, and skeptical faces. Gloria stood beside Marcus at the podium, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. Marcus spoke first, explaining everything that had happened since the night of the original attack. The betrayal, the investigation, the discovery of Apex Partners, and their decades-long scheme to destroy American businesses from within. Then Gloria took over. She walked them through the evidence, step by step. Financial records, communication logs, testimony from witnesses who had agreed to cooperate. She named names, showed faces, connected dots that had remained hidden for 20 years. The room was silent when she finished. Then the questions exploded. "How can you be sure this isn't fabricated? We've provided all source materials to federal investigators. They've independently verified our findings. Isn't this just a distraction from Horizon Tech's own problems?" "The problems you're referring to were manufactured by the consortium as part of their attack. We have evidence of exactly how they did it. Why should anyone believe you?" Gloria looked directly at the camera. "Because I have nothing to gain from lying. 6 months ago, I was cleaning offices for minimum wage. I had no stake in Horizon Tech, no connection to Marcus Cole, no reason to care whether this company survived or failed. But I saw something wrong, and I couldn't walk away from it. That's the only truth that matters." The story dominated the news cycle for weeks. Federal investigators launched the largest corporate fraud investigation in a decade. Apex Partners' leadership was arrested, their assets frozen, their network dismantled piece by piece. Dozens of executives across multiple industries were implicated. Politicians scrambled to distance themselves from the scandal. Horizon Tech's stock price recovered, then soared past its previous high. Investors who had fled came back with apologies. Partners renewed their contracts with enthusiasm. But Gloria barely noticed any of it. The morning after the press conference, she collapsed in Marcus's office. Exhaustion had finally caught up with her. The doctors said it was severe fatigue combined with dehydration and stress. They ordered her to rest for at least 2 weeks. Marcus took her home and barely left her side. He brought her soup, read to her when she couldn't sleep, held her hand through the nightmares that came every night. "You don't have to do this," she told him one evening, her voice weak. "You have a company to run." "The company can wait. You can't."
"I'm not dying, Marcus. I'm just tired." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You've been taking care of everyone else for so long. Let someone take care of you for once." Gloria felt tears prick her eyes. "I don't know how to do that." "Then let me teach you." She laughed softly. "That might take a while." "Good thing I'm patient." Recovery was slow. Gloria had pushed herself harder than she realized, running on adrenaline and willpower long after her body had nothing left to give. But day by day, with Marcus beside her, she began to heal. And as she healed, something else began to grow. Something she'd thought she'd lost forever when James died. Hope. 3 months later, on a cool autumn evening, Marcus took Gloria to the old server room where she'd first saved his company. But it looked completely different now. The humming machines had been replaced with comfortable furniture, warm lighting, and photographs covering the walls. "What is this?" Gloria asked, looking around in amazement. Marcus smiled. "I had it renovated. It's a museum now, sort of. A reminder of where we started." Gloria walked slowly through the space, examining each photograph. There she was, on the night of the attack, exhausted but determined, surrounded by glowing screens. There was Marcus, watching her work with something like awe in his eyes. There were newspaper clippings from the press conference, magazine covers celebrating their victory, letters from people who said their story had inspired them. In the center of the room, a plaque had been mounted on the wall. Gloria read it aloud. "The Johnson Innovation Center, dedicated to the woman who proved that heroes come from unexpected places." Her voice broke on the last word. "Marcus, this is too much." "It's not enough." He came to stand beside her. "Nothing I could ever do would be enough to thank you for what you've given me. Not just my company, my life, my purpose, my heart." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Gloria's breath caught. "I've been carrying this around for weeks," Marcus admitted, "trying to find the perfect moment. But I finally realized there's no such thing as a perfect moment. There's just now. Right now. And right now, I want to ask you something." He opened the box. A diamond ring sparkled in the soft light, simple and beautiful. "Gloria Johnson, you walked into my life on the worst night I'd ever had, and you turned it into the beginning of the best years I've ever known. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. You believed in me when I'd given up. You fought for me when I had nothing left to fight for." He took her hand. "I don't want another day to pass without you knowing how much I love you, how much I need you, how much I want to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you." His voice shook. "Will you marry me?" Gloria looked at this man, this billionaire who had been brought to his knees by fate and lifted back up by a cleaning lady with a broken heart. This man who had seen past her uniform, her circumstances, her pain, and found something worth loving. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes?" "Yes." Stronger now, certain. "Yes, I'll marry you, Marcus Cole." He slipped the ring onto her finger,
and it fit perfectly. Then he pulled her close and kissed her, and Gloria felt something she hadn't felt in years. Complete. The wedding was held 6 months later in a small chapel on the outskirts of Chicago. Gloria wore a simple white dress that James's mother had helped her choose. Marcus wore a dark suit and a smile that wouldn't stop. The chapel was filled with people who had become their family over the past year. Colleagues, friends, even a few former enemies who had found their way to redemption. Gloria's mother sat in the front row, crying happy tears. She'd flown in from Alabama, overwhelmed by everything her daughter had accomplished. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she kept saying, "so proud." When Gloria walked down the aisle, she carried a small photograph in her bouquet. James, smiling, forever young. He was here too, in his own way. He would always be part of her story. Marcus's eyes filled with tears when he saw her. "You're beautiful," he whispered as she reached him. "You're not so bad yourself." The minister began the ceremony, but Gloria barely heard the words. She was looking at Marcus, remembering everything they'd been through to get here. The attack, the betrayal, the fear, the triumph. Every moment had led to this one. When it came time for vows, Gloria spoke first. "Marcus, a year ago I was invisible. I walked through the world believing I didn't matter, that my best days were behind me, that I was destined to fade away without anyone noticing. Then I walked into your office on the worst night of your life, and everything changed." She squeezed his hands. "You saw me, really saw me. Not the cleaning uniform, not the tragedy, not the circumstances that had beaten me down. You saw the person I used to be and the person I could become. You gave me a chance when I'd stopped giving them to myself." Tears streamed down her face. "I promised to stand beside you through every storm. I promised to fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. I promised to see you, really see you, every single day for the rest of our lives. Because that's what love is, Marcus. It's being seen. And you've made me visible again." Marcus took a shaky breath. "Gloria, I used to think success meant money, power, status. I built my whole identity around those things. And when I almost lost them, I realized how empty they were. But then you came into my life, and you showed me what real wealth looks like." His voice cracked. "Real wealth is having someone who believes in you when you've stopped believing in yourself. Real wealth is having someone who tells you the truth even when it hurts. Real wealth is having someone who stays, not because of what you have, but because of who you are." He wiped his eyes. "I promise to cherish you, protect you, and stand beside you through whatever comes. I promise to never look past you, never take you for granted, never forget the miracle of having you in my life. Because you are my miracle, Gloria, my second chance, my reason for everything." The minister pronounced them husband and wife. Marcus kissed Gloria as their guests erupted in applause. And in that moment, surrounded by love and light and the promise of tomorrow, Gloria finally understood what she'd been searching for all along. Home wasn't a place. It wasn't a job or a bank account or a social status. Home was being seen, being known, being loved for exactly who you are. She'd found her home in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person, at the most unexpected time. And she was never letting go. The reception was held at Horizon Tech's headquarters. The same building where Gloria had once pushed a cleaning cart was now decorated with flowers and filled with music. The same people who had once walked past her without seeing her now lined up to congratulate her, to shake her hand, to tell her how much she'd changed their lives. Marcus's mother pulled Gloria aside during a quiet moment. "I want you to know something," she said, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "When Marcus told me about you, about how you met, I was skeptical. I thought maybe you were taking advantage of a vulnerable moment." Gloria nodded. She'd expected this. "What changed your mind?" "I watched him. Over these past months, I watched my son become someone I barely recognized. Someone kinder, more patient, more open. Someone who finally understood that the world is bigger than himself." She took Gloria's hands. "You did that. You brought out the best in him, and for that, I will be grateful until my dying day." "He brought out the best in me, too," Gloria said softly. "We saved each other." Later that night, after the last guests had left and the music had faded, Marcus and Gloria stood alone on the rooftop of the building. The Chicago skyline stretched out before them, millions of lights twinkling in the darkness. "What are you thinking?" Marcus asked, wrapping his arm around her. Gloria leaned into him. "I'm thinking about that night. The night everything changed." "The attack?" "Before that, I was in the elevator, going up to the 40th floor with my cleaning cart. I was exhausted, defeated. I'd been doing this job for 3 years, and I'd started to believe that was all I'd ever be. Just another invisible person doing invisible work." She turned to look at him. "If you hadn't been there that night, if you hadn't actually looked at me when I walked in, if you hadn't asked for my help, you would have found your way back eventually. You're too strong not to." Gloria shook her head. "Maybe, maybe not. But you gave me a chance when I needed it most. You treated me like I mattered before I proved anything to you. You mattered from the moment I saw you." "How did you know? How could you possibly have known what I was capable of?" Marcus thought about it for a long moment. "I didn't know," he admitted. "But I was desperate, and you were there. And something about the way you looked at those screens. It was like watching someone wake up. Like you'd been asleep for years and suddenly your eyes were open again." He cupped her face in his hands. "I took a chance on you because I had nothing left to lose. But I'd do it again now that I have everything to lose. Because you're worth the risk, Gloria. You always were." She kissed him, long and deep, while the city sparkled around them and the future stretched out ahead, full of possibilities neither of them could have imagined. 1 year later, Gloria stood in front of a crowd of 2,000 people at the National Cybersecurity Conference. She was the keynote speaker, invited to share her story and her expertise with the next generation of security professionals. The audience was filled with young people, many of them women, many of them from backgrounds that others might have dismissed as unlikely or unpromising. Gloria looked out at their eager faces and remembered what it felt like to be invisible. To believe that your circumstances defined your potential. To give up on dreams because the world told you they weren't meant for people like you. "Let me tell you a story," she began, "about a woman who cleaned toilets for a living, who was told she didn't belong in boardrooms or server rooms or anywhere that mattered, who almost believed it herself." She paused. "That woman is standing in front of you right now." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "I'm not going to pretend that my path was easy. It wasn't. I lost my husband to cancer. I buried my career to take care of him. I spent years doing work that made me invisible, that made me forget who I really was." Her voice grew stronger. "But here's what I learned. Your circumstances are not your destiny. The job you have today is not the job you'll have tomorrow. The way people see you is not the way you have to see yourself." She gripped the podium. "Someone gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it.
when I hadn't proved anything to anyone. And that chance changed my life. But you know what? I had to be ready for it. I had to keep my skills sharp even when no one was watching. I had to believe in my own value even when the world told me I had none. Gloria looked directly at the cameras.
There's someone watching right now who feels invisible, who feels like their best days are behind them, who's about to give up on themselves. I'm talking to you. She leaned forward. Don't give up. Don't stop learning. Don't stop believing that you have something to offer. Because one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe a decade from now, someone is going to look at you and see what you really are. And when that moment comes, you need to be ready. The audience rose to their feet, applauding. Gloria stood at that podium, bathed in light, surrounded by sound, and thought about the journey that had brought her here. From a trailer in Alabama, to a cleaning cart in Chicago, to a stage in front of thousands. From invisible to seen. From forgotten to remembered. From broken to whole. After the speech, Marcus found her backstage. He didn't say anything, just pulled her into his arms and held her tight. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. "I'm proud of us." They walked out together, hand in hand, into a world that had once seemed determined to destroy them. But they'd survived. More than survived. They'd transformed their pain into purpose, their tragedy into triumph, their loneliness into love. That night, Gloria sat alone in the server room that Marcus had renovated for her. The Johnson Innovation Center, her name on the wall, her story preserved for everyone who came after. She pulled out the photograph she still carried with her. James, smiling, forever young. "I hope you're proud of me," she whispered. "I hope wherever you are, you know that the love we had made all of this possible. You taught me what it meant to be seen, and I finally found someone who sees me the way you did." She kissed the photograph gently. "I'll always love you, but I've learned that my heart is big enough for more than one great love. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's beautiful." She tucked the photograph away and stood up, ready to go home to Marcus. Home. Such a simple word for something so hard to find. But she'd found it. Against all odds, despite everything that had tried to tear her down, she'd found her place in the world. And that place wasn't a building, or a city, or even a person. It was the truth she'd discovered about herself. That she was worthy of love. That she was capable of greatness. That no circumstance, no tragedy, no amount of invisibility could erase who she really was. Gloria Johnson Cole walked out into the Chicago night, head held high, heart full, future bright with possibility. The billionaire had lost everything. The cleaning lady had saved him. And together, they'd found something more valuable than money could ever buy. They'd found each other. They'd found home. They'd found the kind of love that doesn't just change your life, it saves it. And that, my friends, is the greatest miracle of all.